Shoreline Publishing presents the inaugural Independent Australian Authors Symposium 2020, Saturday, November 14 at the Victoria Park Golf Club, Herston, Queensland. This unique one-day event gives you the chance to mingle with the community of authors and writers and public figures from around Australia. Be quick and get your seat at shorelinepublishing.com.au. Simone from Brisbane Audiobook Production. Queensland author Jodie Miller. She was born in central Queensland. She grew up in the Mary Valley, southeast Queensland. She runs a family business from home, and in what spare time she has, she likes to read, write and learn. And there aren't enough hours in a day for the garden, the home and the business, but somehow writing has just slipped through those cracks for Jodie. She became a mother and then a consumer advocate and then an activist, and she's definitely very passionate about safe, free and accessible midwifery care for every single family. Her brand spanking new book is called What Does It Feel Like Being Born? And Jodie is going to be one of the guest authors at the inaugural Shoreline Independent Australian Authors Symposium happening on November 14, which is a Saturday at Victoria Park Golf Club in Brizzy. Welcome, Jodie. Thanks for your time today.
Thanks, Simone.
Why this book and why now?
Well, I had my babies 20 years ago. And through the process of, just writing and journaling in that busy time of raising little ones with a husband who frequently travels, it occurred to me that, the pace of change is so glacially slow in maternity that my own daughters will be encountering the same problems that I did when their time comes. So I felt compelled to turn my journals into a digestible story for young mothers, midwives, people working in maternity, something that's a bit more fun to read than your usual academic publication, which is the kind of thing you really find in that space. There's not a lot of books out there. There's a lot of motherhood memoirs, I suppose, but there's not a lot of books out there that recount the actual journey of pregnancy, birth and early mothering.
Great idea. So how many children have you?
I got 4.
Right.
As if I'm not busy enough. Yeah, we had 4.
You didn't even put that in your blurb.
Well, they're big people now. They're young adults. They're quite self-sufficient. They don't have to wipe their bottoms anymore.
Yeah, over that bit. So did you journal through each of the 4 pregnancies?
Well, I was already an advocate by my second pregnancy. So a lot of that ended up in newsletters and other written emails, other sort of ephemera from the time. And a lot of it got lost along the way because, you don't think to keep track of it in an orderly fashion. Backup after backup, new laptops disappear. A lot of records were lost. But what I ended up doing was starting a dedicated Facebook group and recruiting all of my activist and advocate friends to help me remember and to check their records because some of them were a lot more thorough than me.
Yeah, cool. So you're not a career writer as such. So what inspired you to actually think, got these journals, I'm now going to write this book?
I decided to re-engage with Maternity Coalition and Friends of the Birth Centre when I was halfway through writing something I didn't really know what it was. And eventually I thought, I've got something here and maybe it's a product other people will enjoy. So I just sort of filled the gaps in the checkerboard or finished the quilt, as you say, I suppose. Yeah. And I got to be a better writer through the process, I think. I think the goal was actually to be invisible and just be a character in the book and not to be too writerly. So I didn't have to try too hard for that.
Memoir is such a personal genre. Do you worry about exposing yourself and your family?
Yeah, I think that held me back a lot, actually. It took 10 years to write this memoir. A lot of it was fear that I would be exposing my family, my mother, certain people who we encountered along the way who were perhaps not as supportive or understanding of our agenda as they could have been. And even now I have hired a lawyer just in case, You know, you can't write a book about an institution as big as the Royal Brisbane and Women's Hospital and not have a little fear in your heart. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, that sounds very intriguing, and I'm probably sure you're not alone when you have those journals and what you've written there.
I could have fictionalised it, but I don't think it would have had the same power.
Are you hoping to change things through it?
Maybe not directly, but there was such a wellspring of energy and camaraderie when I was an advocate and an activist. And I think my ultimate hope would be that when people read, if people read, no, I should say when people read my book, they will be inspired to do something in their own time. And it's definitely not something an individual can do. It has to be a movement. And I think that's fallen away in recent times. And it's just a few lone voices working really hard in a vacuum, it seems. So it's really consumers within a system who can change the system. And mothers are the busiest, most tired, most confused, most spread thin people in society, and yet they are the only ones who can change the situation they're in.
And we've got enough on our plate, haven't we? So
exactly. So what we do have is women's friendships, and that's the power that drives us. When something needs to be done, we do it together.
Yeah, that's exactly right. This book sounds absolutely amazing. What Does It Feel Like Being Born is the title once again, but have you another book in the pipeline?
I do. I don't know if my husband will be delighted, but he and I are the subject of another book, but this one is a prequel. This one's a prequel, more of a true romance set in Brisbane and Tokyo. So in these times, maybe a travel memoir will also be a little bit more of a digestible story for our times. That's my hope anyway.
Sounds like you draw on your family a lot for inspiration and maybe a little bit of creativity as well. And yeah, especially with your latest book, obviously you've done a bit of research there and want to change the way the system runs. So well done you. What was one of the most inspiring and surprising things that you learned in creating this book?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I still have it in me to want to support and urge others on their journey, because what I found was I gained a lot of support through my beautiful, beautiful writing friends, and I want to pass on the love to other new writers. So I'm finding myself drawn to memoir writing in small groups, supporting other people to write their stories. And true stories are fascinating, and when they're really well written, quite unputdownable and as good as fiction. And maybe there's a lot to be learned through both fiction and non-fiction, but through people sharing their stories, there's a certain catharsis as well. And I think that's a healthy thing for us all.
Yeah, definitely. It gets it off your chest, doesn't it, to begin with?
Yeah, it sure does.
And there's other people that feel the same always. So you're
obviously... You never know, your book might change someone's life.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I do audiobooks, and the amount of people that I've done with their memoir, they basically have come in to record it so they can change people's lives. And that's what it's all about, because if you can get through something so hard that you've managed to spend so much time to write a book, never mind publish it, as only 2% of people that actually begin do, then
wow.
It's bad, yeah. So well done. That's amazing that you got that far. But yeah, I mean, you've got to get it out there to help change lives. Obviously, it's changed yours along the way with your journey writing it. So, so people are going to be able to meet you at the symposium happening at Victoria Park Golf Club on the 14th of November. What are you looking forward to?
Oh my goodness, all of it. I've never done it before. I'm such a newbie. It's just going to be so wonderful to rub shoulders with other writers and meet readers and meet the people who I've only corresponded with so far. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. Some great guest speakers, including Laurie J. Ellis from the Queensland Writers Association, Edwina Shaw, author and coach, and also counsellor Vicky Howard's going to be there as well. So where can people find out more about you, Jodie?
I am all over the place. I am on Instagram as Jodie Miller Writes, and on Twitter, Jodie Miller Writes, but I'm actually # Her Evolution. And on Facebook, you can find me as Jodie Miller And I do blog as well, Jodie Miller Writes. So just look for that. You'll find me. I've only recently started blogging after, doing a mum blog for many years that didn't really go anywhere. So now I'm just blogging for me, practicing my writing. It's a little bit too literary for most people, but it's where I practice what I do. Yeah, and reach out to me. I love correspondence. I'll always answer.
Have you got your own website?
No, it's a WordPress blog, Jodie Miller Writes. That's all I got. I have a business that's a website, so there's just too many things to interact with otherwise. Keeping it simple, if that's simple. I'm not sure it is.
Yeah, no, that's not simple, but you're doing absolutely amazing, very inspiring, and it's been really great talking to you today. I really look forward to catching up with you at the symposium on the 14th of November. Thank you, Jodie.
Thanks so much, Simone. It's great to meet you.